focus. Ideate, innovate, enable. Lentra and CNBC-TV18 Digital Lending Summit, Mumbai, India.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our first panel discussion titled Tech-Driven Innovation Fostering Credit Inclusion. In a world driven by digital transformation, the panel discussion promises to unravel the intricate tapestry of technology and its pivotal role in shaping the future of lending. Well, steering us through this thought-provoking exploration is CNBC-TV18's Lata Venkateshwan.
We have a very elite panel over here, actually comprising the entire gamut of sizes and shades and nuances of the banking sector. We are primarily discussing inclusion over here. So let me start with Mr. Tiwari on that note. Mr. Tiwari, do you think that there has been a quantum leap in terms of lending? We have financial inclusion in terms of opening of bank accounts, which the government championed. But what has been the scale of growth in terms of giving credit?
The financial inclusion journey in our country has been synonymous with the growth of the Jan Dhan accounts, and these are essentially saving accounts. So while there was an element of overdraft linked to that, 20,000 and then another 30,000, so totaling 50,000, but that didn't take off too much. There is some penetration there, but what is more important is that these accounts, as they had some balances, they were zero balance, but as they grew in balances, they became eligible for a lot of other lending services. And later on, the Mudra scheme, which was launched, etc. All of these things have now enabled a significant pickup in those kind of accounts.
Shalini, there are various pillars through which inclusion has happened. How good has been the credit through UPI, which I guess is RuPay cards? Has that made significant contributions to lending?
Credit on UPI is still very nascent, Lata. It's still, few months old. A few banks obviously have launched it, Federal, ourselves, HDFC, etc. I think it'll take a little more time for us to get it. There are two aspects of it. One is credit card as an instrument to use UPI. That is really an existing credit card customer getting one more avenue to pay. So will it expand the credit market? Not likely. What it's likely to do is convert some of your normal debit card transactions or your savings account transactions to credit card. It will not expand credit. But the other one, which is credit line on UPI, which all of us are working on with NPCI, will definitely expand the reach of credit. So if we were to have this summit, say, 6 months later, I'm sure all of us can sit together and see how much of it we have been able to kind of leverage that infra to grow the credit and inclusion.
Okay. Can I toss that to Bandhan? Since you would normally have, a larger number of MFI customers and who are increasingly coming into the UPI net, do you think credit on UPI is going to be a game changer? Has some work already started?
As a country, the financial inclusion has broadly been solved with PMJDY and a whole bunch of things. It's not about financial inclusion anymore. I think it's more about financial empowerment. The whole microfinance industry is 3.5 lakh crore. And you realize that roughly around 20 to 25% people have access to credit. There is huge opportunity and lot more to be done by collectively between banks, MFI industry, fintech partners and entire ecosystem. We can do a lot more in that area.
A similar question to you, Ajay, but yours is the other end of the spectrum. How have your co-lending exercise helped you penetrate? Has it meant more financial inclusion? And has it meant more secure lending? Because you are probably able to get more digital footprint.
One bank which you have associated, for the longest time, probably with partnerships, would have been Yes Bank, which but predominantly was on the payment side, and which is where, we built our leadership. Today, 1 out of 3 digital payments would go through the bank. What we have extended that partnership is actually now towards lending. Obviously with an eye towards financial inclusion, not necessarily, down the curve to start with, because right now co-lending as a model itself is quite nascent in the industry. So the way we are working with fintech partners and actually more foremost was actually to look at our own lending platforms and reshape our own lending platforms.
Sandeep, on for a foreign bank, which has always worked on niche areas, areas which are already digitally evolved, is there any further inclusion that technology brings to you, or is it more deepening and better understanding of the clientele?
So when you talk about us as a foreign bank, remind everybody we've been around 170 years in India, from getting India's first ATM.
No, it's just that you're restricted in branches.
No, of course, to be a part of NPCI from the starting moment. So I think clearly HSBC has been around and partnering in India's growth as we kind of go further. So clearly, whether it's partnering with fintechs, whether it's use of information, whether it's bringing ONDC in a box, we were the first bank to bring ONDC in a box to MSMEs to be able to participate in ONDC. So I think this will be about both deepening as well as understanding new segments and being really a part of that growth.
Thank you very much.
With that, we prepare for another enriching fireside chat as we have the privilege of hosting two very distinguished leaders who have played a very important role in shaping the landscape of retail assets and financial services. Our esteemed speakers will delve into the topic of profitable scaling in retail assets, sharing insights and experiences that promise to be both enlightening and inspiring. And to moderate this session, may I please welcome CNBC-TV18's Ritu Singh. Also put your hands together for Arvind Vohra, Group Head, Retail Assets, HDFC Bank, and Rakesh Singh, MD and CEO, Aditya Birla Finance.
It's been a stellar second quarter for the banks when it comes to profitability, with HDFC Bank also almost 33% growth over the previous year on an industry-wide level. As you look at the year ahead, just tell us what are the various factors in the current macroeconomic and regulatory environment that are going to shape the trajectory of how banks like you grow?
The aspect of growth in India is really about looking at the size of the prize. India is in its sweet spot right now. From an HDFC Bank point of view, we are very large, and some of us do talk about that. But on the other side, there's still 80-85% of the country that we have to explore into. And that's where we are looking at expanding our reach from a physical infrastructure point of view. We are looking at expanding our access through digital lending. And really the fundamental anchors being insight-driven innovation, a very, very disciplined risk management approach, rock-solid corporate governance, and just be focused on doing the right work for customers.
And Mr. Singh, do you share that optimism? As in NBFC, you had a 40% sort of a growth in the last financial year. What will this year look like?
So if you look at, first of all, look at the Indian economy. I think Indian economy is doing very well. It's the fastest growing large economy in the world. The GST collection, if you see, that clearly indicates the economic activity in the country. That's been doing and has been growing quite robustly. So the economic activity and the GDP growth, if you look at in the country, really provides opportunity for a player like us, the banks and the NBFCs, to really do business. But we are in the lending business. We do business with, and we are also in the business of risk management.
Mr. Vohra, if you could give us a sense of how retail lending itself is changing.
See, we believe the transformation is happening at two levels. One is banks see themselves more as technology companies. The fintechs are there, and I think this differentiation is going to get more and more blurred. So there's transformation happening in traditional organizations. They are becoming technology-centric. Two, I think the whole digital public infrastructure, whether we call it account aggregator framework, e-sign, UPI, credit on UPI, all of this enablement starting from JAM in 2014, which has driven bank account as basic as that, penetration from 40% to 78, 79%. And some of these things have become the cornerstone for these two transformations to intersect and really be able to expand to different parts of the country.
In the short term, do you see some disruption in the growth of the retail piece? Because banks, on one hand, have to set aside higher capital, NBFCs have to set aside higher capital, and your cost of borrowing from him will also go up.
So if you see, we do business across different customer segments. So we do business in the consumer segment, retail, which is MSME, mid-corporate, large corporate. So we have a very diversified business. Retail and a consumer segment and an unsecured segment is a small part of our overall business. But in terms of risk weight going up, Will it impact in terms of the cost of borrowing, first of all, and the risk weight on the capital side? The answer is yes, though very minimal. And if there is an increase in cost of fund, we will have to pass it on to the customers. I think because if the cost of doing business goes up, it will get passed on to the customers.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with our audience. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
Lentra and CNBC-TV18 Digital Lending Summit, Mumbai, India. Lentra and CNBC-TV18 Digital Lending Summit, Mumbai, India.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we now progress through the summit, a very exciting moment awaits all of us. Brace yourselves for a very special moment, the much anticipated reimagining lending using AI, a glimpse into the future of innovation that promises to redefine the landscape of digital lending. The Lentra Gen AI launch stands as a testament to the commitment of industry leaders towards pioneering advancements. Today, we are on the cusp of witnessing innovation, advancements at their best, a showcase that will not only captivate our imaginations, but also underscore the potential for revolutionary changes in the digital lending landscape. I would like to invite on stage Ankur Handa, Chief Product Officer, and Rangarajan Vasudevan, Chief Data Officer, both from Lentra. Put your hands together for them, ladies and gentlemen.
Today marks a significant milestone for us as Lentra, and I can't wait to share what we have been actually cooking up over the last couple of months.
Picture this, everyone. Lentra, your trusted partner in digital lending, is about to take a leap in the new era. Well, brace yourself, because today we are introducing India's first and one of its kind Lentra Intelligent Lending Cloud.
Yes, indeed. The Lentra Intelligent Lending Cloud, it's not just another version of the Lentra platform. It's in fact a symphony of innovation and intelligence coming together. We have harnessed the power of generative AI, which has been making the news all over, but to make this entire process of lending an experience and not just yet another transaction. Lentra Convo brings the magic of natural language to every aspect of the lending journey. This makes the entire experience a lot more personal because we literally now have a guide that speaks the local language.
Let's talk about Lentra Insights. We all know how crucial it is for lenders to make informed decisions. Think of Insights as your financial oracle. It only helps you assess the impact of credit policies, but also provides targeted intelligence to fine-tune those policies for optimum take-up rates.
And trust me when I say this isn't just yet another tool. It's actually a weapon that helps you continuously optimize for your asset business, keeps it growing. So it's like the compass which guides you through this labyrinth of credit policies that exist, helping you work with parameters and the optimum choices of the credit policy so that you get the best out of your business.
Now for the grand finale, we all know the unsung hero in lending journey, the underwriters. Picture this, Lentra Wingman is having a superhero sidekick for every underwriter out there.
Yes, the Wingman is here to streamline the underwriting process. It intelligently summarizes the financial information, comes up with a concise summary, and picks out the alerts that the underwriter needs to really focus their attention on. Before we wrap up, I would actually like to share the ethos behind why we created the Intelligent Lending Cloud. It's not just that we're launching products and we're using this as a showcase, but it's a commitment to staying ahead of the curve.
Thank you, everyone. Let's embark on this exciting journey. Thank you.
Well, also to share more insights on Gen AI and how it is reshaping the lending landscape, I would now like to invite Mr. Anupam Mishra, Director AWS, to please come up on the stage. Anupam?
So if you look at how Amazon has been innovating, we have been using machine learning across various businesses, be it retail website where we recommend products which uses machine learning. On the fulfillment side, we have robots which are doing fulfillment or in our stock, in our warehouses. They use pathfinding. How do they go from place A to place B? We have a offering which we are working on called Prime Air, where we're delivering items to customers using drones. That uses machine learning. Amazon Echo, I'm sure hopefully some of you use it, which can talk to you in natural language. And many more possibilities, including things like Just Walk Out, where you don't have to go to a checkout clerk. You just pick whatever item you want. You just walk out the store, and we automatically bill the customer based on what they have picked from the store. It's becoming very popular, Just Walk Out, where we are seeing it on airports and many other places. What we are talking today may become outdated very quickly, and of course it happens with every tech, but this one is very, very fast moving. So it's very important to empower your teams to learn and be aware of what is state of the art. And we as AWS are happy to help. We have something called AWS Generative AI Innovation Center, where we've invested about $100 million to build a team which is dedicated to help customers do really what is important for them. With that, thank you so much, and looking forward to see what innovation we see in India using generative AI.
We are now poised for a compelling exploration into the intricacies of beyond banking, NBFCs, and tech-enabled credit inclusion. To moderate this session, I would once again like to invite Ritu Singh.
Mr. Agarwal, for instance, if you could start. We look at the data, it says 78% of Indians have bank accounts today. Where are we really on the financial inclusion space, especially in the last few years where, Jan Dhan has given a big push. But what beyond that?
Traditionally, NBFCs have been predominantly the entities which have been focusing on financial inclusions. It's been an age-old story that the customers who were unlendable to the bank historically have been funded by NBFCs. And the trend as on today stays. But yes, there are many changes which have happened over the last decade. Overall growth in the economy and penetration of the availability of credit to the rural sector have increased the penetration of credit offering to the rural sector and also the access of formal credit.
Mr. Iyer, why is it with the 12 large public sector banks, the 14 or so private banks, the thousands of NBFCs, the formal financial system that we have in place today, financial inclusion, especially to the last mile, remains a challenge?
It's not only about lending, right? So if you had to only give money, I think by now everybody in the country would have got the money. It's also the ability to get back the money. So therefore, there will always be caution on how to lend and still be able to recover. And which is why you'll find this goes a little slow. But if you kind of overall look at it earlier, who got the money? Someone who could come to the branch or someone whom we could reach were the only ones who were getting the money. Right? Now with the coming in of digital means and supported by an ability to underwrite through data, that number is increasing, and that's where you see the financial inclusion now taking, at a much faster pace.
Mr. Srinivasan, let me ask you then. We always talk of technology as this big game changer, and it has been. But, with this digital lending, there are challenges that come along with it. In your sense, when you're looking at reaching to this new to credit customer using technology, what are the big areas of opportunity it has opened up, and what are the challenges that still remain for you, to not be able to get to that last mile customer?
Yeah, so let me answer that question in two parts. One is, I think, the proliferation of public digital infrastructure, right, in terms of whether it is e-KYC, whether it is collecting mandates digitally through e-NACH, e-agreement. Some of these have enabled basically two things. One is obviously reach a wider audience. Obviously, we have expanded the base. So what we are able to do physically, let's say in 2 days, we are able to do it in minutes. That's number one. And obviously, I think India is continuing. India is going to be young for another, I think, 15, 16 years, right? So we are going to have a new set of borrowers who will come into this pyramid every year, right? Now we have fairly evolved, I think, rule engines, ways of, deciding the customer without any track record, etc., which is what is helping the access for these new to credit much faster.
Mr. Nath, this digital phenomena again that everybody's speaking about, to what extent has it penetrated into the rural, semi-urban area?
And our definition of inclusion is different. I think so inclusion, and we struggle this with most of the DFIs of the world, new to credit is what is only considered to be inclusion, which we think is a wrong definition.
Okay.
If you look at MSME credit in India and its gap, it's 85 trillion rupees, of which 20% is the formal and 80% is informal credit. Of that, 95% this gap belong to the SMEs, which are in the turnover range of 15 lakh to 15 crore. The new to credit small business portion is extremely small. So that's why we focus only on that segment. It doesn't mean that he has to be new to credit. He has some credit, but when you extend more credit, then the level of employment which gets generated is far more significant. So all of our work related to impact is to provide credit to underserved market, not the unserved market. We think next 2 decades, data would drive the credit decisioning.
All right. On that note, Mr. Nath, Mr. Srinivasan, Mr. Iyer, Mr. Agarwal, thank you all for candidly sharing your thoughts, and thank you for your time here. Thank you.
Following these enriching discussions, the summit also hosted some remarkable sessions that delved into the intricacies of India's credit landscape and further underscored Lentra's commendable efforts in fostering innovation and championing inclusivity through a plethora of strategic partnerships.
Lentra to us has been a very reliable partner. They have a very good technology stack. The journeys which they have built on their platforms come very handy. The minimal changes are required to basically to be able to customize it. And third thing, it is coming at quite a reasonable cost to us. So from that perspective, I will say, Lentra has been a very, very great partner for us. Relationship management has been a great thing from Lentra side. I have not seen many companies, proactively approaching customers, even getting into their business, understanding their business.
The way I have seen the whole space of digital lending or digitized processes evolve over the last few years, and we both together have got a track of a little over 6 years of having worked together on our journey. I think it's been a partnership. I think players like you have been around for a while. You all are talking about some great things, and it was quite exciting to see at all the new launches that you're talking about. I think it's time where platforms like you come up with innovative solutions, tech-based solutions, not just in partnership, not just in discussions with the lender, and say, hey, this is something which is innovative, not ever thought of by any lender, and this is what we bring as a solution to you all, and change the dynamics, so to say.
And we did not have a LOS platform then, so we worked with Lentra. So I think in 6 months' time, that platform was up and running. While we are going to go into the next level version with obviously advanced features, but till now we have been using that platform, and that really helped us in getting into pan-India model, because if you have to give loans in more than 200 towns and in 16 states, it's not possible to do that manually. So you need a workflow engine for you to back it.
Lentra and CNBC-TV18 Digital Lending Summit, Mumbai, India.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.